Dark
It looked
City.
like Dark
Dark
City.
City,
Dark
Dark
City.
City. Take
Can't
me
wait to
down.
have the too much style or not enough
I
style.
Uh,
Style
think just
Most
the right
style
amount of
versus best
style.
style.
movie is
Just
a
the right
lot of
amount of
style.
style, I think.
that's gonna be
This,
interesting.
this movie has an awful lot of style.
Yeah.
Lots of style.
I was telling Tad before everybody joined that, at first I was confused. I thought it was Dark Man with Liam
Ah.
Neeson.
Oh, right.
I was like, no,
That's
no,
a Sam Raimi joint.
Sure
It's a
is.
Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, it's that movie they made right before The Matrix. It's The 13th Floor.
Watching
and then
this,
I'm like, okay, no, it really is this other movie that I haven't seen. So it took me
Two
If
movies.
you hadn't seen this,
Took you a few to dial it in.
right. Because
I
I
haven't really
kept
watched-
thinking it was the wrong movie.
Yeah.
Did you start watching either of those movies by mistake?
No, I'd seen both of those movies.
Okay.
Oh, Dark
And I
Man.
thought,
Anyway,
wait a minute, I don't remember any of this
Oh,
stuff.
so this is your first time for Dark City, Jim?
for Dark City. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool. We should get Jim's impression then.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah. Jim, you go first.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, 'cause
Never
we've
goes
all seen
first,
it.
But now's the time for Jim to go first. Go for it.
Go first.
Hmm.
I like it. It builds up slowly to getting towards, the cinemagic or whatever. I did find myself thinking about a bunch of other movies though, which is Tad's whatever, but they all came after this movie, so
Some immediately.
that's okay. Yeah, right. Like
I don't know.
Inception.
Scott's got the Citizen Kane scene behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cute. Where yes, it does, but it happens without cutting.
Mhm.
Anyway, no, it's a good flick. I enjoyed it. I didn't really have anything. I didn't hate it or love it. So
No, it's just I haven't seen it. Like maybe I watched it on DVD when a couple of years after it came out, but just watching it now and then remembering how many times I saw The Matrix, it's like I don't know if the Wachowskis owe an apology or what. It's like considering that was also filmed, I think, in Australia. This is filmed in Australia.
they use some of the sets from
They
this
use the
movie.
same sets, yeah. They probably use a lot of the same costumes and everything like that. So we don't know. But I can see there's deep influence on that one. And,
And for a while, it's like William Hurt's character. I was like, is his name Wachowski? Oh no, it's Wachowski or
close.
something.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
close.
I
Does
think
he
it's
have a brother?
I think it's more likely that both of these movies wear their influences on their arms, and their influences are very similar.
Mhm.
Like there's an awful lot of M in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and there's an awful lot of M in the Matrix too. Like
Yeah.
that style came back at this point in time because there's a lot of movies around this time that go in that direction.
There's a lot of Joe versus a volcano in a lot of the interiors.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know you can do the
Behind
job,
that.
but can you keep the job?
Mhm.
But there's a weird
Brazil,
kind of
too.
a meta
Yeah,
approach.
Brazil, Caligari.
Mhm.
There's kind of an approach that
Well, Metropolis too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
kind of the city scenes.
kind of a weird screenwriter thing where I think that there's a certain influence that the creatures, whatever they're called, the dudes, the
Strangers, I think, are
Strangers.
the
Strangers.
strangers
Yeah.
are kind of like directors. They're basically playing with actors. They give them their new
Mhm.
lines, they give them their new personas, and they wake up and they start playing their roles out. I can see like if you're a screenwriter, it's kind of like this is kind of fun. You can recast people and do kind of move things around and try and
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was a TV series that Spielberg was involved with.
Amazing stories.
Amazing Stories, maybe.
There
And
we
there
go.
was an amazing story that was about these guys would come out, they would freeze the timeline, and then the guys would come out from back backstage basically and do all the set dressing and everything, and then they started it up again.
Yeah.
And I was
Mhm.
wondering if it was whoever wrote that episode was thinking of these movies.
It's a little Langoliers too.
Mhm.
That idea of like reality being constructed in front of you and then destroyed
Mhm.
behind you,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of thing.
right.
Oh, there's also a little bit of the Truman Show, but reversed.
Mhm.
Where, you know what I mean? It's like this. We made the artificial construct. We're the strangers, and they're kind of letting it all play out inside.
Yeah.
There. So that came later.
I,
though.
I saw this at the Kabuki. I think the weekend it came out because I was like
Uh-huh.
super ready because I think we all here love The Crow.
Mhm.
And I bought the DVD. I have the Blu-ray.
Mhm.
But acknowledging that every time I watch this movie, I have the same reaction. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I kind of don't care because it looks so cool.
That was my reaction the first time I saw it in the theater. It was one of my critiques was that it moved so fast in the beginning, and there were a lot of threads. There was the murder thing going on, but rewatching it now because I kind of knew what to expect, I had no problem following it this time. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The story makes sense. And my criticisms at the time were like it's sort of breathless because of the way it's continually scored. Like the music never lets up.
Oh yeah,
The Baz Luhrmann movie.
Well, yeah, it kind of. So I
Australian
felt like it never stops to take a breath, and I couldn't quite keep up with it. But I was kind of knew that going in this time, so that didn't bother me. All the things I sort of bugged me about it the first time, I didn't really mind this time, and so I think it's kind of magnificent. It's like I still like it, but it's just when you look at the thing as an achievement of creating a very specific world and doing this fantastic job of it.
Cool looking.
It's,
Yeah, I mean, for
it's
seeing
pretty
it the first
singular.
time,
I mean,
it
inject the
sounded pretty coherent.
the neon, the set decoration,
Mhm.
like it's
It's
gorgeous.
very like
Just the
Yeah.
way they imagined
Hopper-esque.
Yeah.
the way they imagined the city and the way they
Yeah.
imagined the transformations is so striking. I mean, those buildings coming up like corkscrews, just
Mhm.
it's so cool. And they did a great job with, fairly limited special effects at the time, but the art direction kind of makes it not matter if it looks a little phony.
Yeah.
Well, and
Well, that was the state of the art back then.
Well, the
and
whole
the
thing is
world-
an artificial city, so it's okay
Right.
if it all
Right.
looks a little phony.
But the world also feels lived in, which is crazy
Yes.
in
Yeah.
the fact that it's not.
Yes.
it
like-
literally isn't lived in at all.
And-
It changes
and then-
every night.
But then also, how long has this been going on? Like, we could be
Mhm.
thousands of years into this city
Yeah.
being remade every night. Like,
Nobody knows how they got there, and it's never
That-
explained.
Yeah.
The best scene for me is when he's talking to the guys like, have you ever seen daylight?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a great
Yeah.
one.
William
Not a
Hurt, I thought,
memory.
think
Not
about
a-
it for a second. Like, no, I
Not
actually
an old memory.
Yeah, I loved that. It's a little bit of that Blade Runner thing of implanted memories,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like you can't trust anything. Remember the spider web on your when you're a kid outside your window? It's
Right.
that kind of a thing. And William, you could see William Hurt flip from
Yeah.
being like, I'm asking this guy questions
Yeah.
to, oh shit, he's not crazy, and now I have to question everything.
There's
Right.
this wonderful, awful kind of reveal where he gets sucked outside of the thing and he's spinning around in space, basically dying and looking back and seeing apprehending
the whole thing.
entire city, and he was like, he's dead, right?
Yeah,
It's like that
I
was
can't wait
that was,
for him to
that was
say,
beautiful
"It's
and
true,
fucked
it
up
is
at the
flat."
same time.
yeah. The world is flat.
The world is flat.
The world is
The world is hollow, and I've touched the sky.
the world's a Yes
Sky.
album cover.
The thing that really bugged me this time more so than previous viewings, though,
Yeah.
can we talk for a second about Peter Lorre meets William Shatner?
His delivery is so weird.
Kiefer Sutherland is like he's turning into Jack Nicholson.
I couldn't even do
I
it.
actually I wanted to bring that up because I actually feel the opposite. I fucking love it. I
Yeah.
love his performance in this.
It's a choice.
I
he
think
did
he
not do
created
this himself. This was
I-
not his choice. That Alex Proyas made him do this. Like,
Well, for me, it works because it feels like he really created, or they then really created someone who, like, okay, I have a problem with sort of an affectation if I can't believe it. If I'm like, oh God, they're doing this thing, and I don't believe it. But I believed Kiefer. I just believed this character. I believed that he spoke like that. The way that every word almost had a breath at the end with a question in it, like it was fucking cool. I thought, like, it was so weird.
Well, by the end of the movie, you do figure that out.
Yeah.
That he's like the most traumatized.
No,
of
he's
them
the
all.
most.
so
yeah,
that's-
he's
that's what
But I
was
could
gonna
also
say.
see, Chris, how you would hate it. But I loved it.
jarring.
It was very. It drew attention to itself a little too.
But what?
but I think,
Are you
if
talking
you
about?
absolutely watch
Chris,
it happen,
what are you
like,
talking about?
That's pretty
you
good.
watch it happen in the movie because when he tells his story, you see like he's just beat to fuck, and like that's why his eyes all messed up and why his legs are fucked up. And then you watch him break mentally as he's putting the syringe to his own head.
Yeah, I know.
Like you have to get rid of everything you are that isn't your ability to do this.
Right.
There is something that I need to talk to you about.
Mind you, it's like, and it was followed afterwards by the ride on the exposition boat. You know, the whole boat ride was all about, you know, slow down and explain everything that's going to happen in the film that just happened and is going to happen. That was really, at that point, they started talking. I'm like, oh God, this is going to go on for like 10 minutes. And it did. There
is quite a bit of explaining to do in this movie.
I shut my brain off.
In fact,
This is
the
one of those-
climax is in a way exposition, or at least the moment right before the climax, after he injects him with the other syringe, and then he shows up in all of his childhood memories,
where he's walking and talking normally. That's what he was like before they did this to him.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Good point. Just a side note: when we saw this in the theater, Sheila gasped and elbowed me during that. Because it was so clever, you know. It's like, why do I keep reappearing in your childhood memories? It's because I engineered your childhood memories to teach you everything about these guys, so you can beat them now.
Right.
Sutherland's character is sort of like Gary Oldman's character in The Fifth Element. It's got that over the top style acting or whatever, but I think it actually works a little better than Gary Oldman.
And he's
the whole thing's so
he's the
fucking
opposite
stylized.
because he's a good character.
He's a good guy. Yeah. And
Although mysterious
deep down, I
half the
guess.
film, you don't know where he's coming from really, which is great.
Yes.
It's revealed. It's like that's kind of opened up later on, which is neat. And
Yeah,
Riff
you
Raff,
don't,
I
you
thought
don't
was
know if
great.
he's a good guy.
Riff Raff.
this
was
is
great
one of
guy.
those movies that when it came out, you know, it's a classic case of one of those movies that I loved so much that I wished it would have been like more popular or something. Like it just didn't make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And I would like tell everyone about it. I would say, have you seen, because it was so close to the Matrix in terms of time. And you know,
but I think the Matrix is like a slam dunk, and it really like impacted the culture. Everybody saw it, everybody freaked out. This is kind of a near miss. It's kind of like
and I was always
works.
I'm always more attracted to the underdog thing. Like I'm just always more attracted to the thing that feels brainier or just feels like it's not.
Well, yeah,
like,
that's how I felt about Mystery Men the next year. But that just looks like Mystery Men a little bit. This film.
It's too. This movie's too weird for most people. That's it's
Yeah,
just too
that was
weird for
Mystery,
most
sure.
people.
Yeah.
Like you have to appreciate a certain amount of strangeness in a movie. That like The Matrix has that, like sort of as like a little bit of a background. It's like, yeah, this world's strange, but then boom, you get an immediate explanation of what it is. And
you get a big and you get a big action movie.
Right.
Which is this is not that.
And in this movie, they drag it out for the whole movie of why is it so strange? Why is it so strange? And then when you finally see what it is, because I still remember the first time that I watched this, I had no fucking idea they were in a fucking spaceship, you know, floating around.
Well, that's
it was a stunning moment.
And you're just like, oh, fuck. Like it's so that to me is
this movie's about this movie. This movie's about the concept. I mean, it belabors the concept because the concept's great and it's very original. And when it's a reveal that matters. Whereas The Matrix, the less you think about the concept, the better off you are because it's kind of dumb.
Well, remember in The Matrix, they spoil it in the trailer. Like they tell you,
and they tell you about it in the middle of the movie or even before the middle section. Like it's
the first third or the first.
Yeah, it's not a huge reveal. It's the biggest reveal is when he wakes up in the pod in the first Matrix.
No, that was the big drop. You know, I was like,
that was the big drop.
Yeah,
that was the big inciting incident, so to speak.
Morbius and Neo in the construct was.
It's not the reveal at the end. It's the setup.
It was the Expo construct they were in.
And I jumped out of my seat and went, exactly. That's exactly what's gonna fucking happen.
I know. Exactly. But this was neat because it kind of started out.
Save that for the next movie.
When I first watched it, I remember it was a film noir. Then it's a monster movie. No, it's this. Then almost oh my god, unreliable narrator film. No, it's a sci-fi movie. It kept developing in different genres as the film went on. I appreciate that because it kept because of the way it revealed more and more and more about how everything worked. You'll start with kind of this fake film noir, and at the end, it's basically
Yeah, I love the film noir, visual motif here in this picture.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't bring up when we started off with the list of influences. It's like it's super noir too.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Well, you guys
I
brought
do
up
think
you guys brought up The Matrix as something that owes a debt of gratitude to this movie.
Mhm.
You ever watched the Buffy episode Hush?
Oh yeah, it's a lot like
This
that.
is absolutely Hush. Like Hush absolutely was like, yeah, what if we just do Dark City but in Buffy? Like it's amazing. Because I went back and rewatched that a little bit ago at after the last time I watched this movie actually, and was like, Jesus, he just ripped like half of this fucking movie off for that episode.
Tad, you know what I kept thinking about, and this won't matter to anybody but Tad? Fucking BioShock.
Oh
Yes.
wow, okay.
One of the best video games I've ever played in my life. Heavy, like, I don't know. I was thinking about it a lot watching this movie.
You know, I'm not a gamer, but I remember the TV commercial for BioShock when it came out, and I said, that looks fucking cool.
It's extremely
extremely cool.
This reminds me of the Boardwalk, Neptune's Kingdom. Come on.
But
That's
BioShock is what happens when Ayn Rand's civilization collapses. Literally, that's what it's about. So it's set in underwater 1930s Art Deco nightmare. So this is almost an underwater Art Deco nightmare.
Pretty much, yeah.
As much as you want.
Our we have a friend, Frank, who's working on I guess it's the fourth one right now.
The not BioShock that they're making. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
BioShock. That's a stupid name.
Well, golly. Anything else?
No. I don't try. At a certain point, it becomes disorienting. Like it was less disorienting the fourth or fifth time I've seen it, but it's still just disorienting enough where I'm like, I don't care.
Wait. Jennifer,
just give me the eye candy.
Yeah. Jennifer Connelly's in this movie. Why have we not mentioned her name until now?
Richard O'Brien and Richard O'Brien. It's good to see in a movie again.
Riff Raff did a great job,
and he did a great job.
Oh, and I would be remiss if
Riff Raff, basically.
We would be remiss too if we didn't mention the awesome use of the automat in this picture. Right, it's amazing.
Oh, the thing behind Tad.
Yes,
it's amazing.
That's a great set too.
It was a fun set.
And Jennifer Connelly is, 11 out of 10 hotness. Jennifer Connelly in this.
Still, yes.
And she's so good in this.
Yeah,
she's just so good.
No, she really brings. There's a couple of scenes that I was slowing down a bit and rewatching because the interaction between him and what's his name, Rufus Sewell.
Sewell.
Those guys had some great chemistry. I mean,
tell me about Rufus Sewell. Who knows anything about him? What else has he been in?
He's been in a few things. He was big in the '90s, but not. He never got.
I think his biggest thing, he was kind of like the head Nazi in The Man in the High Castle.
Yeah,
he had a couple of.
He does TV.
Still working.
Yeah,
he had a couple of romantic comedies in the '90s. He's got an awesome look, but I just think
he came out of nowhere when this film came out. You're absolutely right. It was like he's a nobody, really.
Yeah,
he's Australian, right?
He's got those walking eyes.
He's who they could afford for this movie.
Yeah, to save money, get a cheap actor, you can get a lot more sets built. And so
right.
So many sets.
But the surrounding cast is awesome. William Hurt is the fucking man, dude.
Oh,
he's pretty great in this too.
The woman who plays the prostitute from the beginning is very
she's
good.
also
in her like the two scenes that she's in. Like that when it zooms in on her as she's looking through the bead curtain when he runs out, she's just like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Like she just sells it. Like she just there's so much more behind that line than just those words, and I think that's great acting.
Oh, and this kid,
William Hurt's really wonderful in it too. The little kid
that made it extra creepy because you had this,
that was a good choice.
Well, these strangers are basically the husks of dead human beings that these squiddy guys are inside of, right?
And when you see the strangers, it's almost like it's really interesting in this picture because it's like if they feel familiar enough, like you've almost seen them before, but yet they're its own thing, and they also feel like things that have been influenced by them after this movie.
Oh, Clive Barker needs a check cut to him too, because there's a Cenobite kind of feel to these guys.
Yeah, there is
sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's it. But this is But put it in a much better context.
Can we talk for a second? What the fuck happened to Alex Proyas?
Good question.
He made the iRobot movie and he got thrown out of Hollywood.
That was the worst movie.
That's not great, but I thought knowing I thought was pretty good.
Knowing was great.
I
That's,
didn't want to
Nicolas
watch
Cage?
that. I didn't
Yeah.
want to watch
The
that
road
shit.
movie.
Extremely bleak by the
Yeah.
ending, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah, beautifully
And
shot.
then I haven't seen Gods of Egypt, which looks totally bonkers, but that was like the last thing I did.
Gods of Egypt is absolutely abysmal.
Okay,
It's unwatchable.
now we know. All right, good enough.
I wish he would have just stuck to these smaller. I mean, not that this is tiny, but it's small-ish.
This was relatively smaller.
Yeah,
I think there might have been a sequel in this thing. These guys are stuck on this floating platform in space. What are they gonna do next? You know what I mean?
Proyas isn't a sequel guy. Like,
Oh well,
he didn't work on. He didn't work on
If
the
this
other
came
Crow.
out now, there would be
but also,
He didn't work on the other
okay.
Crow
We
movies either.
we all love the Crow, but let's face it. I mean, the Crow is silly as shit.
Yeah.
So I think we have to admit that Alex Proyas is actually not as fucking amazing as we really think in our minds. Now, this is probably his best picture. He didn't have maybe much more than this. The Crow is good, but it's absolutely laugh out loud, unintentionally stupid and funny. But it's awesome. I love it just as much as all you guys. I'm just saying that, like, I think after this too, I put him on a pedestal as well, and I think that he doesn't deserve that. I think that he's not as good as we think.
I think that what
And
he's
this
good
is his,
at,
masterpiece.
I think that what he's good at is he's good when he's backed into a corner budgetarily. His movies get worse as the budget goes up.
Oh,
Sure.
Because you have to be more creative. Like, yes, The Crow is laugh out loud stupid in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of really creative filmmaking in
Yes.
it.
I love it. There are brilliant parts as well. I think the same can be said for when you bring like foreign filmmakers over to America and just throw a bunch of money and A-listers at them, their movies start to suck. When they stay in their own countries,
Actually,
they make these masterpieces.
You can see a pattern where like they got Proyas and to do like Gods of Egypt and do the other two films we talked
iRobot.
iRobot, because that guy can handle a big effects film because he did Dark City, so he just give it to them and let him run.
And what they don't realize is that this isn't a big
sacrifice.
effects film. This is a small effects film.
Yeah, I know.
It's an effects film, but it's a small effects film.
Yeah,
like
it's an effects film with a script.
Hung out by his own petard, basically,
and an idea.
That's it. I think we should go to the cards.
The pros outweigh the cons for me.
I enjoyed watching it again.
This is one of my all-time favorite movies.
It's my least enthusiastic thumb, but it was.
But I bought the wrong version. I accidentally bought the director's cut years ago, and I should probably.